Hi there, welcome to another episode of the Confrontier, in which I try to give you advice to help you through life. The subject of today is what I would call weaponized snobbery. Now, snobbery is a pretty negative thing. We mostly associate it with people who think they are better than others and try to aspire to belong to a higher class than they actually do, and are petty, vindictive, and most of all superficial about it. That kind of snobbery is, well, like I said, a negative trait, so that is not what I'm talking about here. However, I am discussing so-called weaponized snobbery, by which I mean that you employ some snobbish traits in order to become a better person and in order to improve your life. I'll discuss what I mean. A common thing that shows up in several of these videos, perhaps all of them, is that I think we live in a society where we are constantly bombarded with temptations, constantly bombarded with things that try to erode our resistance to others, to things that are not good for us, and so on. And so in general, we are discouraged to look down on things, you could say. Instead, we are bombarded with messages that tell us we need to buy things, we need to do things, we need to achieve things. I think of this whole FOMO thing, fear of missing out. And the commercial capitalistic society we live in encourages us to constantly think we're missing out on things, that we need to buy things in order to feel happier, in order to become a better person, in order to live up to other people's expectations, in order to live up to our own expectations, and so on. We get told that there are lots of things that we need to be, that we need to have, that we need to do, and so on. And luckily, society, meaning businesses, provides us with the ways to achieve those things through spending our money, really. Intellectualism, being intellectual, is also something that is generally disencouraged in our society. Why? Because people who are not intellectual, people who are not learned, people who are not restrained as well, are people who can't be benefited of as much by businesses and other power brokers in our society as they want to or as they could. So we have this phenomenon that you could call, and has been called, reverse snobism, really, where people who do not think that much of the things that most people do or are encouraged to do are considered wrong or ridiculed, and so on. Now, perhaps easier said than done, but as you know, I've touched this subject before, resistance is strength. So that also means here that you should try to resist that. If you feel that you are being pressured into doing, buying, and being things that you do not want to be, try to resist that, try to be above that. And for that, a bit of snobbery can help you. The fact that you think that certain things are just beneath you. So, speaking for myself, there are a number of things I consider beneath me. Those include buying merchandise, those include smoking, those include excessive drinking, drugs, and so on. All of those things that are generally bad for me, or at least for my financial situation, I try to avoid as much as possible. And one of the ways I can fight the temptation to give into those things is by being a snob, by thinking that I am above that sort of thing. I am above smoking. I am above using drugs. I am above drinking to excess. I am above buying all sorts of things that I do not need. Now, if you have that sort of constructive snobbery, it can really help you to navigate our society, to navigate through all the temptations that there are. Now, I'm speaking from a bit of privilege here. Generally, throughout my life, I've been quite, well, not to say immune, but I've been quite resistant to feeling such needs. It may perhaps be more useful for people who know they can give in to such temptations, who know they give in to such needs, tool to use in order to fight those temptations. If you think your products that you need to buy according to advertisers and according to people around you are not there to be your friend, are not there to be helpful to you, but are there to discourage you from being the person that you want to be, or are only there to take money from you, or are only there to make you become a worse person than you actually are, perhaps that could be helpful to fight that temptation. So try to be a snob if it means you can be a better person because of it. You see, the thing is, when we look down on something, we generally do not want to engage with that. Of course, there are caveats. I am not saying that, like your typical snob, who is a petty, unlikable person, you should look down on people. Look down on habits. Look down on temptations. Look down on activities. Do not look down on people, even if they are people you think of in pretty negative ways, and they do all sorts of things to deserve that. Everyone, including you, should be seen as a work under construction, meaning that you're trying to be better, try to improve upon yourself, try to be a better person than you already are. Now, it may be easy to dismiss people that you dislike or that do things that you disapprove of as not wanting to work on themselves. But I think perhaps I'm too positive in thinking so, that this is generally not the right thing to think. Most people want to be better than they are. However, actually working on that in the right way is where the rub is. With all these videos, I'm trying to help you build your mentality, as I say it, by which I mean the mentality to want to become a better person than you already are, and to help you get through life and become better at doing so. It may seem pretty weird that I encourage you to be snobbish, since, like I said, snobbery is generally considered a very bad trait, and indeed I think it is. But I think elements of it can certainly be useful in order to achieve that better mentality and that higher level of existence, if you want to put it in a bit of a poetic and dramatic fashion. Since restraint is generally disencouraged in our society because we need to be primarily reacting people who act upon their wishes, so that we actually spend our money and improve the financial situation of people who sell things. I think snobbery can be pretty useful in order to fight that. So, as I called it before, and I'll continue calling it, weaponized snobbery, knowing how to apply it in order to protect yourself, really, in order to defend yourself against what you're up against, and which mostly goes unnoticed by most people because we consider it so normal to be bombarded with advertisements and temptations and so on. However, it should not be considered normal because it isn't. So, to make it very clear, I am not telling you to be a rude, petty, unlikable snob. I am advising you to use elements of snobbery to become a better person and to fight temptations. Think of some things as generally, entirely perhaps, beneath you. You do not want to be that person, so you are not the type of person that is going to do those things. Now, this is of course also a personal matter. What you consider things that are beneath you that you shouldn't do could be very different from the things I do. But in general, I think the golden rule here is that whatever is behavior that is not helping you to be a better version of yourself, and that is not helpful to other people, or more importantly, perhaps that hurts other people, is behavior you do not want to engage in. So that is a sort of thing that you should try to use your snobbery against, in my opinion. So in the end, I think it all boils down to this: be a snob, but be a humble snob who doesn't look down on people so much as on behavior, and use your snobbery productively in order to become a better person who is an addition to the world around him or her, and not a detriment. If you keep those things in mind, I think you will find snobbery pretty useful in order to become that person that you, I think, should be. Now, this was my video. It was pretty short this time, so I hope you found it useful all the way through. Of course, if you like what I'm doing, subscribe to my videos. Feel free to share them with people who you think might need to hear and watch it. So thank you for watching again. Bye.